Hello, am I audible?
Absolutely. May I know who am I speaking with here?
Rianshi.
Yes, Rianshi. What do you think makes somebody memorable in a group discussion, Rianshi?
Well, honestly, I can't think of one single thing. A
Yeah.
lot of things contribute. Maybe uniqueness and how we present our thoughts. And I
Absolutely.
believe that personal taste gives a competitive edge over a lot of things because in a world of generalization and uh, AI generated stuff, your unique taste is something that makes you stand out.
It does. I think you've encapsulated my entire presentation very well. Thank you for the lovely thoughts and summarization there, Priyanshi. Rianshi. Sorry, my bad. Yes, that was Srinidhi. Original ideas getting lesser and lesser with the evolution of AI. What else? Is there anything else that comes to our mind? Facts, yes, Aaron. Ability to control narrative without belittling. Wow, that's a fantastic one, Arnab. All right, we'll go to some of the characters that stand out in any group discussion. And personally, I've had the opportunity to moderate some and be a part of it. So when I started my journey, which was with Ernst and Young, um, the first step was a group discussion, and the only group discussions that I was privy to before that was the roadies interview. How many of you have seen it? How many of you have seen the original roadies? I'm sure you must have been in very nascent stages of your life, but do you remember those GDs where everybody's speaking over each other? Oh, okay. Everybody's speaking over each other and there's hardly any sense to anything. But there are still some people that stand out. And that was my impression that GDs are nothing but less of a roadies interview. So then I realized that there are certain characters or characteristics that stand out every time we talk of GDs. And the first of them is synthesizer, right? Synthesizer are known for their ability to observe, bring together the group, and make a common sense of everything that is being spoken. They are the connectors in the group there. And they're called the synthesizers in the terms that are used internally in the HRs. Then we have the diplomats. And oh, sorry, one thing I wanted to mention is what to watch out for. If you are a synthesizer, most of us could be. And it is good to reflect on what our traits are when we are looking at these characteristics as well. So, as synthesizer, one thing to watch out for is be sure to add your original points and not just synthesize or compose from the others. The diplomat. The diplomats are known to be moderating the entire conversation, listening to everybody with intent. And what should they watch out for? Is that they should not be unheard and they are able to speak their point with assertion as and when needed. Their voices can be easily unheard otherwise, and they only are considered diplomats there. So that is something to watch out for. Then there are silent speakers, which I'm seeing a lot in this group, are the ones who are constantly observing, are silently listening, making their notes, and waiting for the right opportunity to speak. But when they speak volumes with their little words. The only thing that they should watch out for is that they should make their point and find the right opportunity to make that point and not just go unnoticed from the observation of the observers there. And then I'm sure in all the group discussions we have these challenges who are challenging your critical thinking every time, who are bringing different perspectives. Um, they are very much the core and the heart of any group discussion. But what should, if I am a challenger, what should I look out for? That I shouldn't be belittling anybody. I think Soumya mentioned that point. No, Arnav, sorry. Arnav mentioned that point that when we are a challenger, it is a good trait. These people are noticed, but at the same time, it has to be done in a tone where we are not belittling anybody. So that is something that a challenger should watch out for. My bad. And then there are timekeepers. All of us have seen those people who are very much on time, ensure they pace their structure properly. Uh, they note everything in consideration of the time, but what should they be watching out for? Any guesses here? What should timekeepers be watching out for as a challenge to themselves?
Uh, I think they might get impatient if the facts are not heard.
One, very true, yes. They also come across as overstructured at time and very rigid. And personally, I've been there. When in a meeting, if it is 5:30 to end the meeting, I always get very unnerved that it's time to wrap it up, right? But if there are certain points which are to be heard, the timekeepers can become very rigid. And that is something that we need to reflect upon and be cautious of, especially if it's a group setting. Last but not the least, we have the fire starters. They are generally the ones to jump in, come up with controversial points, have their voices heard, and are one of the most remembered in any of the group discussions. And what should they be watching out for? Anybody?
I would say aggressiveness.
I'm sorry?
I would say, uh, like, aggressiveness, being too bold and aggressive to put forward their thoughts.
Yes, yes, that is true. Very valid. They do not give points sometimes to others to speak. Their points can be not valid as well. If you're the first one to jump in, it's very important to be cautious of making and starting it with a punch and an impression. So that is one thing that we would and have to be cautious of when we are a fire starter as well. It's a good trait when balanced. Alrighty. Any other points that this group wants to bring together at this point in time for any of these characters that we spoke about? Questions? Please feel free to raise your hands or unmute yourself and speak up. This is a session on group discussion, and we'd love to hear all your voices.
Uh, Maybe people who, um, I don't know, let others feel that they are heard and their facts and their points are heard.
Yes, it's very, very important. And those are going to be, Rianshi, the characteristics of diplomat, right? They are the ones who moderate, and if somebody is not speaking, you can always reach out to them. And personally, I feel like doing that right now, picking out people whom I'm seeing on my screen, just their names, and saying that please speak up. I promise I don't have fangs. I cannot grade you on anything. So please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up and make this Saturday afternoon count. Alrighty. If not, we'll go to the next one. Okay. We will need more words now. What do you think is a GD? What is one word, one emotion that comes to your mind when you think of GD?
Uh, uh, a lot of people and a lot of opinions.
Yes. People's skills are now. Anupam, sorry, my bad. Toggling between the screens. Heartfelt apologies if I mispronounce your name. Rianchi, yes, that is correct. What else comes to our mind? What is it anyway? What are we doing in a GD? Why do you think there is a GD?
For exchange of ideas.
A 15-minute conversation. I'd love to understand that. It's a 15-minute conversation, right? Do you think we really can exchange deep, meaningful ideas in 15 minutes? That is a valid point, that how you exchange your ideas. That is correct, Riyanshi. And I'm wearing different hats of a GD. Sometimes challenging, synthesizing. So you'll have to reflect on what is your style and bring that out. Check how confidently a candidate can articulate. Yes? Rohit, Ravish, I'd love you to unmute and speak as well, or maybe show your faces and speak as well while you mention such eminent points here. And Rianchi, kudos to you for leading that path of unmuting and speaking. Thank you.
I feel like I am the fire starter.
No. If you have a valid point, like you said, if you have the punch, if nobody is speaking, you'll have to pick that up as well. And that is one thing we will get to as well as part of this conversation today. Okay, discussing on a topic and exchange of thoughts on a certain topic. Rohit. So when we are interviewing, and I can give you the perspective of an interviewer, when we are looking at the group discussion, sitting silently at a corner, looking at a group of young minds coming together to speak about something, we are looking at nothing but a reflection of how you come across as a team, how you collaborate, how much of clarity do you have in your conversation, how much of content do you have in what you bring. It's all about your maintenance of composure, communication, logical thinking. A lot of C's there: critical thinking, communication, composure, collaboration, teamwork. So that is what we are looking for when we are sitting at a corner and making our notes. It's your ability to build that clarity out of the entire chaos in the meeting that is happening. Think critically, listen to every other point, and lead to a proper conclusion there. So, yes, while you're exchanging those brilliant ideas, how do you make it stand out and bring it to a closure is what a GD is all about. Any other point? People have different ways of thinking on a topic. Yes, they do. Very, very valid. And how do you make those points come across, Sanjay? Sanjay, would you be able to unmute yourself? Looks like no. Okay. Yes, people have
Hi,
different ways.
Kanika.
Hello, so great to hear you finally.
Yeah, this is Abhay. This is not Sanjay.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yes.
I had a doubt regarding the persona thing that you told. Is it necessary that we assume the same persona throughout the whole GD, or we can switch? Like, is it advisable to switch or maintain the single persona throughout?
Wow, that's a very insightful question. Thank you, Abhay, right? It says A, B, at Z, so I hope I pronounce your name appropriately, Abhay.
Actually, that's a different name. It's ABHAY.
Abhay, okay. All right, that's a very, very insightful question. And a lot of time that's a myth that, you should always maintain your personality. But the jobs that you would assume once you enter the corporate would require you to be flexible, would require you to introspect. And it's okay to change your persona based on whether you are challenged, whether you have to make a point, or whether you notice somebody is not speaking up. So changing your personality shows flexibility and your inclusivity as well. It's absolutely okay to change from one character to another, but it's equally important to know what is your strong point, right? You can play by your strengths and continue to change your um, what do you say, among the six of the characters that we saw, you can always switch and include others as and when needed. And that shows phenomenal maturity as well. Well, thanks for that question, Abhay. Anything else? If not, we will proceed to how to have a 15-minute quick game plan. And yes, we can, instead of 15, if it is 30, if it is 45 or an hour, we can always tweak our game plan. But a 15-minute GD is like nothing less than a short film where there is initial build-up, there is the storyline, then there is action, drama, passion, emotion, and then there is a conclusion. So the 15-minute GD is no less than a short film in my mind. And if there is any other analogy, I would love to listen in the chat as well. And the first is your opening moves. And that is where we were talking about the fire starters or people who are able to make an early impression, right? Uh, there may not be times when we always know something great about the topic or have a punchline. The first 2 minutes is when, if we don't know something, we can start prepping, listen to others, and plan for our entry. Not necessarily every hero enters in the first 2 minutes of a short movie as well. So if you really do not have a punch, think of yourself as a hero who's going to enter in 2 to 8 minutes, which is the next piece, and the mid game plan. So during the mid-game plan is when you start presenting your ideas. You build onto the ideas of others. Ensure you're able to make your mark during this 2 to 8 minutes, which is also the heart of the entire conversation. Um, make your point heard. Ensure you keep notes of everything and are able to talk more confidently, well timed. And then there is a conflict zone. Anticipate challenges when it's time coming to 10 minutes of a 15-minute GD. And it's okay to be challenged. It's perfectly fine. Maintain your composure in the conflict zone. Bring your critical thinking ahead. Um, bring your points to closure. So that is where the conflict zone helps. You're absolutely free to challenge others as well politely without belittling, like one of our friends mentioned here. And then is the end game strategy. Bring your points to closure. Start building out on what others are saying. And this is the time when you use the phrase that let's bring it to closure. These are the 5 action points. That these are the things that we are seeing as the common themes. So that is where your end game strategy comes in. And last 2 minutes are nothing but a wrap. That's where, if nobody else is speaking up, take that as an opportunity to highlight the key points, to talk about the action plans or the outcomes from that particular conversation that has come in, or the exchange of ideas, like Rianshi mentioned earlier. Any other thoughts here about the 15-minute game plan? This is something which is not a rule of thumb, and obviously it can change as the situation demands, but this is a generic format that most of the 15-minute GDs follow. And I'd love to hear some examples of live example which most of us might have seen, like Rodi's was an example of GD that stays with me. Is there any other example that comes to our mind of a group discussion gone well or gone bad? Anything that comes to our mind of a good GD? Courtroom. Yes. Very close to the example I have close to my heart, Abhay.
If it's gone well, I'd say that they've come up with a conclusion for whatever problem statement they were given.
Yes. Yes. That's what the general outcome is. Raise of hands. How many of us have seen 12 Angry Men? Have we? Okay. Looks like not. But if you ever get a chance, 2 hours of your time to spare, watch this fantastic classic. I did, but half. Okay. Anupam, the first half is the build-up of the movie. It's a little long movie, but if you get a chance to see that, do that ever. Um, the 2 hour movie is about a murder, and this is a 12, the group of jury, which is expected to come to a conclusion in a specified time. And 11 of them believe that the person is a murderer, and there's a 12th person who does not. So how they go about discussing it is a fantastic show, and I would want to keep it as ambiguous as possible for you to have a look at it. Alrighty. Now we're going to cover some myths that we know of a GD, similar to the one that Abhay pointed out, that once you assume a personality, you're expected to stick to it. But is it a reality that we see in a GD room? That is what we are here to uncover today. And this was one thing that comes to my mind, that in every movie we see that the padlock is broken by a shot of a gun. That is a myth. In reality, it is not. It deflects the bullet and it not necessarily breaks it. So before we go to some of the myths that I could list out, if there are any other things that you think are strong belief in a GD, feel free to unmute yourself or speak or add to the chat. Okay. If not, then we will go to our list. Uh, Again, drawing from the example of roadies, my myth that was broken in the initial group discussion was speak more to score more. It is a very common myth. It is about quality. It is about well timed, small, thoughtful contributions. It does not mean that you shouldn't speak more. If you have a lot of content, if you have your points, it is absolutely okay to speak more and be heard about it. But um, there is no correlation between speaking more and scoring more. Louder means smarter. How many of us have heard of this, that if you have a loud voice, you're always going to be smarter? The louder in the room gets heard. It's not true in a GD. Not anymore. There has also been an evolution in the way GDs are looked at now. So, not necessarily louder means smarter. It's about clarity, composure, how you listen to each other, how you are able to defend your points, challenge the points of others. That is what matters in a group discussion. And there we go, the one that my friend was talking about here. Bhai, stick to your side no matter what. And that is what we were talking about. It's the flexibility and openness that is also considered great in today's work culture. Not a lot of people bring in that flexibility and um, intro, what do you call that? An ability to look inside and change perspectives. That is not what everybody brings to the table. So that is something which is a fantastic thing if you are able to exhibit it in a group discussion. Start first to impress. This also all of us have heard somewhere, that be the first one to speak. Well, yes, be the first one to speak if you have a fantastic point and a punchline to begin. Uh, in case not, it can backfire. So it's all about maintaining that balance. The second last on my list is only leaders get selected. That's not true. Sometimes there are always already leaders in the company and they are looking for the team members. So every role matters. And like we were discussing, play to your strengths. Know what you are made of, know your metal and play to your strengths. And if you have it, immaterial of the setting, you will get selected. Only facts matter. Well, facts do matter a lot, but there are going to be topics in which there may not be facts. It's a balanced opinion, it's the examples, your ability to reflect and bring some real examples to life, and your logical thinking that counts fantastically too in a group discussion. Oops, I think I stopped. Okay, sorry. If there is any other myth that comes to our mind that we want to bust or debunk, or we think it's a myth or a question similar to that, we're here to capture it together. What are other things that you have heard of GD that you think? Yes, Abhay.
Yeah, when to decide when to conclude the group discussion, and like, should you be the one to conclude it, or like when to decide?
Oh, again, very interesting question, Abhay. You're making me reflect a lot there. Uh, there are a couple of times when you will see that the group is getting completely deflected and is moving in different directions, maybe off the topic as well. So it may not be the point to conclude, but it is the time to reduce the off tracking and bring it back. That is one. Second, if you're a timekeeper, which all of us should be in some sense, especially in a group discussion, and you see that the time is coming to an end, that is a good time to start concluding, making your own notes, to see the common themes, where your point agrees, disagrees. So that would be a good time to conclude. And when you see that everybody in the group has more or less spoken. But great question there. Any other question? Any other myth? Any other point that we think we should clarify before we head to our first GDs in the coming interviews? Is the screen still visible with the mastering messy moments?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. You will confront a lot of messy moments when you are in a group discussion, being challenged, nobody talking, something similar, and it's not going to be easy to manage those moments. And I've seen some, it's not all that comes to us naturally. Personally, I saw some of the candidates who stood out in these messy moments, the way they managed. It's just so much of learning as an interviewer as well, and a moderator at times, to look at how people master these moments. And those are the ones that actually stand out as well. So how do you master those messy moments is something that we can look at. There are people who get interrupted in the middle of the point, and I've seen both sides. There are people who get totally unnerved when they are interrupted and they get offended that do not interrupt. I will complete. And then there are certain people who are like, allow me to complete. while I make my point and then allow others to speak as well. That yes, you were saying something. What is it that you wanted to add here, right? So the two are so drastically different and so managed well that it stands out. Um, and then there are dominant characters, which we spoke about, who will challenge everything you say. So they can dominate your point very easily that I don't agree to it. I do not like what you said. They can come up with very strong words and voices to ensure that even if you're making a very valid point, you are dissuaded from it. Please ensure that you are not dissuaded. Lean back, make an eye contact, give a small smile, and bring back the focus on yourself. Ensure you're making notes and use the summaries, the data points if you have, the facts if you have, and do not lose your composure. It's very easy in a group discussion to be intimidated, but that is what is being tested here. So the third one here is about being nervous, freezing out, or blanking out. Has happened to me. How many of us are nervous about group discussions or scared of being nervous, losing out, blanking out? Love the truthfulness there, Sanjay. I still do that. Awesome. Ashish, Rianshi,
का
yes.
मेंडी रत्ता देखिए कौन है.
Yes, that's me. I heard my name. Yes. Um, by the way, group discussions are also a forum to see how you will collaborate in the team settings. Um, and I happen to attend a lot of meetings with the US folks or the global organizations that in my current role as well. So there are times when you're not the expert and there are experts with 20, 30 years of experience sitting on the other side. And I have the fear that I'll unmute myself and make myself look completely stupid. Happens to the best of us. One is take a deep breath. No question is a stupid question. Please remember this. Third is make your points. And fourth, keep something to sip on next to you. It always allows your body to relax a little bit. So, those are some of the things that can help if you think you have the fear of being nervous, freezing out, or blanking out. So, that helps. And again, there would be people just who would go off the topic to ensure if they have a point, something which is slightly and remotely related, they might want to bring that out without connecting it too much to the topic. So acknowledge them that yes, that's a very valid point. And gently steering back that how does it connect to the discussion that we have? Would you help me bridge that gap? Or connecting it to our main discussion, if you can bridge that gap, is a fantastic way to reduce the off-topic discussion and the digressions that can potentially creep in any group discussion. The next one is something which is personally I've not seen in many group discussions, is where the group goes silent. But it is a possibility that the group does go silent. In such a case, even if you don't have a point, you can be the starter there. And that is yet another very important characteristic when everybody's silent. That is where, by the way, hats off and kudos to some of the icebreakers here that we have. We can bring out, let's hear everybody. So right, when there's a group silence, you can always call out on people uh, and break the ice, saying that let's list out. We can have one round of discussion where everybody brings out a point that is on their mind. So that is one way of breaking the group silence. And then people are talking over each other. The fantastic example of roadies that we took. You can wait for a pause that may not work. Use the hand gestures or get up and politely say, let's hear one at a time. Let me hear from person A or a person B. That generally helps in mastering some of the messy moments. And if there is any other messy moment that is coming to your mind that you would think can happen, or has happened to any of you. I'd love to listen and see how we can navigate through it. None other messy moments come to our mind here?
Hello.
Yes, Rianshi?
So there have been many instances when someone is talking and sharing their idea, and I have a point, and if I don't say it at the time, the moment would just go and it won't make sense later.
Yes.
So how can I put forward the point at that point moment of time without being rude or interrupting the person?
Oh, that's a very, very common one again. Yes, Rianshi. So that happens in a lot of team meetings too, right? And once you join the corporate and you enter, you will see that. In a group forum, which is say the virtual, now there are only two settings in which we can have the group discussion, virtual or the real. In virtual, ensure that you are either putting it on the chat in parallel or you're raising your hand so that everybody knows that you have a point related to that particular point. Now, there is a very classic example we saw today as well. Abhay displayed it very beautifully. He had, when we had reached slide 4 and he had a point related to slide 2, right? Referring back to it properly and very articulately helps make your point as well, right? He had like, I had a point related to the slide 2 where we were talking about characters. So that is yet another way of making your point while the conversation might have moved ahead. In a real scenario, there are good ways, and then there would be ways which are to be used lesser. One is again raise your hand, say that I have a point to make, uh, and if somebody is saying that something, you can always say I'd like to add after your point. Then they know you have a point. There would be moments when you will have people completely going on, rambling. In those situations, and if it's just two or three people, drop your pen. There would be a pause. Pick it up and then continue with your point. Saying that I wanted to add to that. Does that help, Rianshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And if there's a background, that is thanks to my neighbors, they've decided to drill something today. All right. So, do you think or swim? It depends not on everything you say, but on your behavior as well. This is my favorite. Wear confidence, wear your smile. How you sit, how you stand, everything matters in a group discussion. And when you wear a smile, I'm not sure how many of you have noticed, but there's a change in the way your voice comes across as well from your larynx. So even if somebody is talking on a phone, when your video is completely off, if the person on the other side is wearing a smile, you'll always be able to hear that in the note. So, in a group discussion, while it's very difficult to maintain that, try wearing a smile while you're talking to others. This is a brilliant one and works phenomenally well about the name game. If you are agreeing to somebody, want to build on the point of somebody else, and or disagreeing with somebody, it's important to remember their name, address them by their name. It automatically builds a camaraderie there. People are very, very soft to hearing their name, so might as well want to leverage that. Ha! Playing the role of a connector. You will see people disagreeing, you'll see people not listening to each other, or people, some people not speaking. So, playing the role of a connector comes where you are saying that yes, A said this, but B said this, and this is what the common grounds is between them. Or something like, we haven't heard from Tushar here, would Tushar want to speak something, right? So that is where you can play the role of a connector in a group discussion as well, which is very, very important in organizations, in team meetings as well. Be a synthesizer, not just a speaker. It's not always about having an additional point. Sometimes it's also about summarizing what others are saying. Especially if you do not have a point to speak, it is important to bring the group together and make a common message out of what everybody is saying, a common theme that is equally important in a group discussion. Own the wrap up if no one else does. You may not be the first one to own the wrap up, it's absolutely okay. But if nobody is owning up, that's the best opportunity for you to come up, talk about the key takeaways, the action items, what is it that the common message is. That's a fantastic way to end the wrap up. Pause for power. If you are making a story or if you're talking about a story, pause. When you tell people to imagine one thing, go slow. Our brains take time to imagine. So the minute you give a pause, you automatically gain a little bit of power there. Pen as you listen, very, very important. Uh, Sometimes people are making very valid points, and you have an equally valid point, which is a counter argument or is adding to that. Make note of it. It's very important because thoughts keep crossing our minds, and it helps to stay on top of it. Follow KISS, which is keep it structured and simple, silly. So your structure is being looked at. See how you can structure your conversation and keep it as simple. While we all, at least I like Shashi Tharoor a lot for the kind of aura that he brings, the way he articulates. But most of the things he speaks, I have to open my dictionary. And in a group discussion, it's about keeping it simple in a way that everybody understands your point. So keep it structured, keep it simple. And your behavior speaks louder than your words. So stay composed, stay tuned to how your body is also reacting. Any other points here? I see something in the chat. I'm sorry I missed. My third year, I have two questions. I'm not sure how to address your name. It's Viday Ashish Jain. Do I call you Viday or do I call you Ashish? Okay. Viday. Okay. Thanks, Viday. I've completed my third year and I'm sorry, I did not understand question one, but to deal with point number two, that happens to a lot of us, that how to deal with the fact that the point you have thought about is exactly that someone else starts with in 1GD, right? You do not have to stay silent, and it's absolutely okay because a lot of us have a lot of common points as well. So that is where one, your body language, you start nodding and looking at that person with intent. A second is that as soon as that person closes the point with a, you can always say that I totally agree with a. I am aligned with what Vidya brought to light, and I have experienced something similar. So, and if there is additional point, that is also a perfect time to bring it in, saying that I agree to it. This happened with me. I experienced something like this, and this was yet another thing that was brought to my light or brought to my attention with something similar. So that is a way to agree to somebody and still be heard. That, wow, I was just about to say that. It is such a valid point, and I just got goosebumps. I couldn't be more related to that particular thing. So there are ways in which you can relate to somebody in a group discussion, and it's equally important to acknowledge that. It builds a personal camaraderie, shows that you are somebody who is okay to acknowledge others, okay to appreciate others. Would you want to throw some more light on question one
Hello,
there?
hello.
Yes, Uday. Hi.
Yes. Hi, hello. I will just switch on my camera if it's possible. Yes, hello.
Awesome.
Yes. So actually, the first question which I had was I was giving a GD on Tata Steel. So that was the company.
Okay.
So they had given a GD topic regarding India's growth in GDP. How India is going to become a superpower in the next 2 3 years, maybe in 2027 or 2028, as we are aiming for a $4 trillion economy now also, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
$5 or $6 trillion. So the GD was related to what are the some of the points that are going to be contributing it. So some of the points, like for example, I had put some numerical values, like in at the end of 2025, India's manufacturing is going to be touching around 1 trillion. That's what the government is thinking about. And then some foreign direct investments. I had given up some numbers, and the problem that I faced was I had given the numbers, but I have found that there was no but the gameplay seemed to be very much general, and I did not found any support to my point which I had actually given. So I had tried to make it a bit logical with numbers, but I hadn't got that support. So my question was, should I have kept it uh, with the flow only? That means keeping it more generalized, because as someone had also mentioned that it's a lot of world regarding generalization. So the GD was going general in most of the scenarios.
Okay. First thing, Viday, thank you for sharing that question. And that may not be the place which is looking for your specialization. So never doubt yourself there. You brought in the numbers, that was your point of view. Second is to quote the references. That is very important, right? The numbers that you are quoting, especially if it's 1 million and others, and this is something that personally I face in the HR world also, because we are talking about employee experience time and again, and there are numbers quoted by Gartner, by Michael Page. So, in order to make it a more valid point, it is important when you are stating numbers to also state the source of it, that where is it coming from and why you're stating it, right? And second is, please do not doubt yourself. Once you've stated the source and you know the validity of it, it's okay. If people want to go for a generalist profile, like we said, not everybody gets selected. It might be a better opportunity awaiting somewhere. So, does that help?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Huh. Thank you. There was another important question. Thanks, Vidya, for coming on the camera and explaining that question further. If there's anything else, also, we can always connect afterwards. Um, I'm assuming I'm supposed to be addressing you. What am I supposed to be addressing you with? I don't want to mispronounce it. Moibuddin, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Mohib.
Very nice to be
Yeah,
hearing
and
from
I want to ask, like, if let's say if somebody concludes the group discussion and we found the conclusion is little incomplete, so are we advised to put forth more complete conclusion or let it go?
very interesting question again, and thank you, Mohib, for asking that important one. Yes, you should add your point or the general group points from the discussion that came forth as well, and not let it go that easy, right? Um, my recommendation here would be say that that's a beautiful conclusion. These are the additional points that came up in the discussion with the people, and I would like to highlight A, B, C. While you are adding to the conclusion, ensure there is a proper structure. You are acknowledging the other person and making it in points. Say, I have two more points to add to it, I have three more points to add to it. The minute you do that, it makes you stand out from the other concluder with the fact that you bring in more structure with the fact that you have thought through of what you are bringing further to the conversation.
See, thanks a lot.
Thank you for asking that interesting one, Mohib.
Welcome.
Is there any other question? I'm loving the questions that are coming in. And again, thank Aditya for organizing this interactive bunch who is having such intriguing questions, making me reflect for sure. Alrighty, if not, we will go. This should be one of the last slides that we have. It's not just what you say, it's about saying it without saying it. A lot in your other parameters of um speech. And I think most of us know it. First is visual, right? The way we come across our nods, our body language, our slouching, our sitting straight, wearing a smile all contributes to the visual, the way we are addressing each other. You said this versus yes, you were saying, right? That comes in very, very handy when we talk about the visual. The second is verbal. The words that you pick, the structure that you have, and your choice of words again, to repeat myself, but yes, it's a lot in the verbal communication that you choose. Third is your vocal. It's the tone, the pace, and the speech intonation that makes a lot of difference, right? I can be talking like this and you would not listen. But if you make your voice have the right intonation, it can have a lot of impact in how you are being heard. Last but not the least, this is something I learned very recently, that it's your vibe, which is nothing but your values, your intent, your beliefs, and your energy, which is personal to everybody. And how do you bring that to saying it what you are saying? So bring your whole self to the group discussion. And remember, nothing can go worse than it already is. There's only a way forward. So always try to bring in your best self and your best energies to the group discussion, and it will be noticed. If not in this one, in the next one, there's always going to be the best opportunity waiting for you. And that's where we have it's time to put your skills to test. Are you ready? I would love to hand it back to my partner in crime here, Aditya.
Thank you so much, Kanika, for the incredibly insightful session. We can now move on to the much awaited mock GD round. Unfortunately, we will be able to accommodate only 10 participants since we are having a lack of time here. So, the first 10 participants will be selected on a first come, first serve basis through a Google form. The QR code for the form will be flashed on the next slide. So, if you are interested in participating, make sure to scan and fill it quickly. Even if you are not among the 10 speakers, we highly encourage you to stay on. There's a lot to learn by observing and more importantly from the feedback participants will receive. So stick around and make the most of this opportunity to sharpen your skills. Now, Kanika, if you could please switch the slides.
I would. Is it visible? The QR code to enter the
Yes,
arena?
it is. Yes, it is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone fill the QR code, fill the form fast. So the fastest fingers first kind of thing is here. Just filling up pretty quickly. So anyone interested, fill the form fast.
This is just a mock, and
Yeah, it
we
just be a mock, and we will be having two separate rounds, 5 participants in each round. So
It's a good way to put your tests, skills to test, and also see how others are doing. Learn from others. So use this opportunity which we have today uh, with all of us.
We have got our first five participants. I would request you all to fill it right now. We will get the 10 participants when we will be closing the form. If you are interested, fill it quickly. We have two more questions, and maybe if you could answer those, then it would be great.
Okay, sorry, I did not see that. Oh, this. Um, uh, Aditi, your voice was cracking a little bit. Good afternoon, Angad.
Uh, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but it was breaking a little bit in between. Ooh, very nice one, Angad. Again, there are two ways to look at it. There is a way of pretense, which you mentioned. There is a way of jumping on it. Uh, and depends on the interviewer. My personal style is go to the answer and take them through your thought process or how do you already know it. That that shows that you are very truthful and honest in your approach. So if you have already know the answer somehow, it's like that's an interesting one that I came across in that case, and this is the answer. Or I think this is the answer, and this is why I think of it. I had experienced something similar. So that is one of the ways that you can approach the problem there, Angad. Does that help, Angad? I hope he's still here. Honesty wins, and it's easier to not pretend, be yourself. It always um, allows you to be yourself more, which has more weightage. The content points we are delivering or the way we are speaking, they are equally important. I would not weigh one over the other. And again, just the way the corporates are evolving, they're very, very important question, very valid. You can be having the best of your content, but imagine I have the good content and I say, Dave, I don't like your question. Dave, what are you doing? Right? You would not even listen. So how you are saying, behaving matters equally more than your content. And nobody wants to work with a person who has the best of the content but does not know how to treat me. So I would suggest that balance it out. And one tip that has helped me, I'd share it with all of you, is try talking in front of the mirror. If you're able to talk confidently, smile at yourself in front of the mirror, maybe 2 minutes a day while you're preparing for GDs, it takes out a lot of butterflies from the stomach. And it has helped me a lot. In last 15, 16 years that I've been in the meetings, it has helped a lot. So maybe you want to give that a shot. You'll see how having more content and not having behavior helps, and having more behavior and still less of a content. And trust me, sometimes it's the other way, Dave, that gets captured. Your behavior skills can be the skills can be taught, the will cannot be. So interesting one. I hope I could add some light there. Thank you for the interesting question.
Kanika, maybe we can start with the first round. Till then, we will get
Sure.
the last registration for this. So now I will announce the names. So the candidates for the first round are Sanjay Kumar, Shruti Tejasvi, Mohib, Vansh Chandrana, and Rohit Kumar. So it would be great if you guys could turn on your mics and your camera as well. We treat this as a proper GD, but keep in mind that it is a mock round, so don't get too scared of it.
Thank you. Thanks, Vansh, coming on the camera. Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. So I'm going on mute now, and the topic is going to be on the screen. It's on all five of you to moderate the conversation from here and take it forward. Remember, we have only 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes for this conversation, not more than that. Thanks.
Hi all, my name is Mohib. Am I audible?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, books or movies, what tells a better story? That's our topic, and I would suggest like movies seems to be a better option for as the today's scenario is concerned, and because with the help of movies, we can cater to larger audience, and the message can be conveyed to the people from varied groups, from children's to old age to uh, various religious backgrounds and caste, and yeah.
Um, So based on mine, I would like to agree on your thoughts and also to know is a better way. As according to pathology too, what we see remains in our mind for a longer time and leaves a great impact on our thinking. So the visual sensors of a human brain are very powerful and they actually create a larger impact on the human mind by watching a movie.
Hi all, I'm Shruti Tejasvi speaking. Adding on to the second speaker's point, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. I acknowledge the fact that movies have a wider reach and impact on the generation today because watch a movie and you get all aspect of life. So yes, definitely movies
Shruti is not audible.
I do accept that the current generation does not have the attention span or even like it's boring. Like as a book reader myself, I would also accept that books are boring, but books are definitely more information giving and you get to write the story on your own even though somebody else has written the story before you.
Shruti, you were not audible for some time in between, so there was very little time that we could hear you for.
Am I audible right now?
Yes, you are. Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So I will just talk about my point again.
Adding on to the previous speaker, I'm sorry I didn't catch their name. Movies do have a wide reach and access to the today's generation, because many people, they don't really want to sit down and read a book of say 200 to 300 pages. You get a block in between and you cannot read the entire book, and there are some boring aspects that you cannot get over. But a movie is just for 3 hours, so you can definitely just give 3 hours of your time, and you get a general helping of everything, entertainment and information, and you get to see like all aspects of life, and it's very like it's like fulfilling that 3 hours of your time. So definitely movies tell a better story that helps today's generation. But the point I want to make about books is that books can give you it's books can give you facts, and you can create a story on your own. So a person who reads the same book as another person, both of them can come up with different points of views. So if I read book A, and I am able to imagine, construct the story in my mind, my friend who reads the same book will be able to construct another story which is more or less similar, but they have different aspects to it. You don't get that in movies. In movies, they are telling you a story and you're listening to it. But in books, it's more like you get to write the story in your own way. And somehow I feel that makes it a little more special to tell a story by books than movies. I hope I was audible throughout.
Yes, this time you were. Thank you, Shruti.
Thank
We are
Completely
last
agree.
couple of minutes. Any
Yes,
other?
Shruti, your point is really valid, and so you're really making sense. Like the way movies are built is in the hand of director and screenwriters and actors. So it is getting constrained in their views. Like people are getting to see what some set of people are wanting, allowing the audience to see. And reading books can um, make can help us to deliver the real sense and real message to the society. That's a valid point.
Continuing further, I agree that the book is infinite source of knowledge, and also everyone has a different feeling and a different while reading a book. But in movies, a person is able to better connect with the actors like emotions, so it brings up another different angle of getting the story, and also the human emotions. He would have a last impact on your mind.
Alrighty, if no more points, that's a wrap. And we can thank you, Mohit, Vanch, and Shruti. I think three people participated in speaking. If I'm not wrong, I could not see everybody there. Aditya, did anybody else speak in between, or did I miss something?
I believe only three of them spoke, the rest two didn't.
Alrighty. And would we want to discuss the observations with the larger forum itself? Is that okay, Aditya and Shruti, Mohit, Vanch? I'd like to take your permission before sharing the
Yeah,
observations.
I'll happy to hear the feedback.
That is Mohit, I'm guessing from the voice.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
To be precise, last alphabet is B, Mohib.
Mohib, oh, sorry, my bad. We spoke. We just had one question, one interesting question from you, Mohib. My bad.
Thanks a
Hi,
lot.
am I audible? I'm Shruti speaking.
Yes, Shruti.
Okay, so I wanted to give a conclusion when all three speakers were done, but I didn't really catch the later half of Vansh speaking. So could I have asked him to repeat his point so that I could have just summarized it better, or is that not like if I do it repeatedly, is that not okay, or can I do that? Can I just ask him to repeat the point that he said, or would it be inconveniencing him or something?
It is inconvenient to a lot of bigger group if the point is not heard. So there are First time when you're not able to hear, you can always apologize. And yes, once I think the laptop was a father or the microphone was slightly farther. So first time you can apologize, and second time you can always tell them, can you write the summary as well, especially because we are in a virtual platform. Uh, it is important to make the other person feel inclusive while stating your problem, Shruti. So all of us here can be in different ways. So understanding, and yes, it's a very, very important point to own the conclusion, which was one of the observations that none of us did today. Um, we spoke our points, but if we are not able to hear, say, one's point and you still want to conclude, you can say that based on what Mohib said and I said, this is the conclusion, and it would be fantastic if once you can add your points too over the chat since I could not hear.
Okay. Thank you so much. That helped a lot.
Perfect. But yes, I think we have a group of very gentle folks here who were waiting for their turn, waiting for the entry. The real world is not this gentle and generous who will give you the opportunity. You might want to take the opportunity and start. And I think Mohib, that I liked about you that you waited for 30 seconds when nobody started, you took the opportunity and started. So it was amazing the way you picked it up. So that is great. Uh, Use less of the connectors if that can be taken care of. There was yeah and so that those were two of the things that stood out. In case of once the audibility was slightly lesser for all of us, but if you could use your intonation, that also gives a lot of which side you're talking on. So maybe we can work on that if we can hear you better next time. Shruti, balanced approach. You brought in both the points. That was very nice. You could bring in the relatability of a reader's point of view as well. That was fantastic. The only thing is, if you can structure and keep it shorter, that would be helpful in making it more impactful when it comes to the uh, real life group discussion. And amazing question there. So thanks for that. And the way you waited for your turn to speak was phenomenal.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so much
see
for the
one.
feedback.
I'm sorry, Vansh.
Thank you so much for the feedback.
Thanks. And maybe there is something that at least I'm not able to hear you properly. I would love to hear you much better. Do we want to go to the second GD before answering the question that Gaurav has asked in the chat? Or vice versa? How do you want to take it? Aditya, I'd leave that up to you.
Maybe you can answer Gaurav's question now, then we can start the second round.
Sounds great. Thank you. Um, can you explain more about silent speakers and how a silent speaker can shape its persona to other important personas? Very interesting question, Gaurav, and I happen to be a partner to somebody who's a silent speaker. The silent speakers are very keen observers. The silent speakers can continue to make a note, right? They are the ones who are staying silent outside, but not internally. Internally, they are observing everything and looking at how the conversations are going. So there are two, three ways in which they can make an impact. One is if they see it getting off track, they can bring the conversation back with their observations saying that this is how we were going. These are additional points that I wanted to bring, and this is how it is off tracking. Can we bring it back? Um, they need not change their persona because, especially if it's a silent speaker, it is what they are. The other thing that they can do is own the wrap up. The silent speakers are amazing at summarizing and adding their points. So they can glow and shine, especially if they own the wrap up, is what I would recommend. Summarize, add your points, and give the keynotes, asking others then to add in and chip in wherever needed. So that is how silent speakers can make an impact. They can play the role of connectors towards the end. Anything else, Gaurav? Or I hope I'm pronouncing your names appropriately. And it says question one. Was there any other question there? Thank you for acknowledging that, Gaurav. Thanks. Alrighty. Do we have the participants ready for the next discussion? Aditya, can we go back to the next discussion if we have the participants ready?
So maybe we can move to the next round.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Do we have the
Am I
participants
audible?
ready? Yes. Uh, the names of the participants, would you share it in the chat?
Look, Anika, am I audible?
Yes, you are, Aditya. Can you hear us? Aditya, you're on mute in case you're talking. Rianshi. Oh, yes. Rianshi, Ishika, Abhay, and Arya Gaikwad. Okay, thank you for those names. Are you guys ready? You'll have to unmute yourself now.
Yes, ma'am, ready.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Great to hear Abhay and Rianshi already. And our next topic, this was more of an impromptu topic which checks your flexible thinking. The other is a very common, similar topic which we are seeing in corporates these days. And again, our time starts now. We have 7 minutes.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Abhay this side. I would love to start, and yeah, so this topic hits quite close home to me, because right now I'm working in an internship and I face this dilemma every day. So what happens is that we all know that how advanced has AI has become. Like, it can code up anything from scratch. Like, I am even astonished that how can it code and how can it build such things from such simple English prompts. But like, working, like, I have been working for 2 months and I have felt that in the first month I was actively using AI with in my workflow, and I noticed that although my efficiency was high, but it wasn't allowing me to think. It wasn't like, whenever I faced a debug, like earlier, before AI, I used to think, I used to see at which line the error was coming. But right now you just copy paste the error in the terminal and just feed it in chat GPT and you get the new code. So although this is good for productivity, but I feel that it has hindered my critical thinking skills and like ability to write code on my own. Yeah, I would love to hear more thoughts.
I completely agree with Abhay on this point here. I believe that AI should act as a lever, not as a main gear. Although it has helped us with a lot of stuff, but still it lacks the creativity, the human touch, and yeah, the role like design, leadership, or decision making, their personal touch and emotional intelligence are more important, and they are irreplaceable. And I don't think any machine learning algorithm can ever replace it. So AI support works, but the final say, I would say that it should match human values and context.
Well, I completely agree to the first statement that AI has hindered critical thinking. But again, pointing out at work, there are some redundant things like making reports and things like that, where using AI can benefit a lot. So, if used correctly, where things which are very redundant and repetitive can be replaced by AI, but things which require human inputs maybe cannot. But I support the statement that AI at work, when used correctly, is beneficial.
Yeah,
I just couldn't agree more with Arya's topic here. It reminds me of the time when I came across a tweet which says, which was of an artist, because at the time a lot of artists were getting laid off because of AI generated artwork. The artist stated that I want AI to do my general stuff like washing dishes, cleaning, and stuff, and I want to give more time to creating my art rather than me prompting AI to make the art for the work and me doing those low level jobs. So, yeah, I definitely agree on that point. I would love to hear other people's facts on this. Sorry, Abhay, you were saying something and I interrupted.
No problem, sure. So yeah, we see that there's this discrepancy that should AI be fine-tuned or should it be more, the technology should be more developed for doing these redundant tasks. But now we see that, like on Arya's point where she said that AI should be used for redundant tasks, yes, that is our choice. But like I ask you, like whenever you face, let's say when you're working, you face a thing where critical thinking is required. Let's say you are required to code up let's say a data structure for managing some students schools. So would you choose the easy path and feed the information to GPT and generate the code? It can do critical thinking for you, but or would you just code it up yourself? Because I feel that more often we take the easy path and see ki if AI can do this, why not?
Right. I got your question and I got the point you want to raise. So, highlighting my previous statement that these are not kind of redundant things. So, even I am doing an internship where the people are required to make BRSR reports and BF reports where the steps are very repetitive and even the uh, the result out of those calculations is very structured. So things like that can be used while using AI. But the example which you mentioned, like educating students, your human inputs are very much important. So the difference between this should be created, and then AI should be implemented on things which are repetitive.
Yeah, good point. Yes, something similar to this topic, I would like to tell you all that recently in Google, there has been talks. I don't know how recent this news is, that they are thinking of actually integrating AI with the workflow and helping the developers, the software developers at Google, writing more structured and modular code. So, like, I don't know if it is scary, it is what emotion does it invoke, that it is being mandated by Google that you have to use. It's not even a choice right now for the employees. So that is a, like, I would love to know your thoughts that is should this be mandated by the company or should this be the choice of each employee?
I think the conversation is going more towards the point that there's a conflict between us and AI. I would like to say that it's not like we are at one side and AI on the other. It's more about we should work with AI to enhance our skills. And I agree that whenever a new technology emerges, there's always fear of replacement. The history has shown us many times when we were first introduced with computers, people feared job loss. When internet was uh, new in the market, everyone feared that connecting the world like this will eliminate a lot of jobs. So at this point, we should really ask the question if it is um, like enhancing our work, it is making it more innovative, so that we can put our energy on other stuff like adaptation, reskilling, and using other things wisely.
And that's time up.
Yeah, so before ending, I would just like, so that this is a productive talk. So I would like to conclude what Rupanshi and Arya said. That Rupanshi's main point was that we should not see this as this versus that. We should see AI as a tool in our toolbox. So that was a great point. And Arya, who said that this should be used for redundant tasks and not for critical thinking. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks for that wrap, Abhay. This was at least more speaking group. Everybody had amazing valid points and there are great things. We'll go one by one. Abhay, you brought in relatability, real life examples, which is fantastic. Building on experience always, always, always counts. Nothing beats that. Couple of things, and yes, you brought in question which made us reflect. So that was something that stood out. Uh, Couple of points where we can further improve is never negate your own point. You brought in the point about Google saying that I don't know much about it shows your lack of experience. Nobody knows even the fact that you know. So stick to the positives that you're bringing. Do not doubt your own point there. That was one. Second is it's Rianchi, not Rupanchi. Remember the name appropriately, my friend.
Oh,
But yes,
sorry. I'm so sorry, Rianshi.
that's okay. Um,
No, no, it's fine.
these are all learnings. I mean, we are all here to learn. So, Rianshi, building on the content was good. The way you built on each other's content, that was fantastic. You played the role of a connector. Again, brought in a very widely circulated meme that most of us might have seen. So that was great. And addressing others. You completely missed the introduction of yourself. So I do not blame Abhay there. I had to literally stop sharing the screen to see if it's you or Arya or the third person talking who did not even make her voice heard. So please introduce yourself. That is very, very important. Uh, and similar, Arya, there was we missed your introduction completely. It would have been great to hear who you are and then build on to that. Um, and there were the use of maybe was frequently there. That shows the lack of confidence. So otherwise, you were very respectful the way you brought in additional points and uh, coordinated between the two was very, very nice. So those were the things that were there. And we see a last question there. Is there anything else that we want to cover before the last question that is there from Shruti?
I'm sorry, ma'am, introducing myself completely.
That's
Uh,
okay.
Sorry, slipped off my mind because our names were announced. So I was like, yeah, the introduction part is done. Now we have to just focus on the discussion.
Well, it was supposed to be a group discussion, and Abhay introduced himself. So that is where you can pick the cue as well to just maybe speak one line about yourself, Arya. And please do not be apologetic. We are all here to learn from experience, leverage from each other, and see how we can make a big impact when you hit the corporate world. Wish you nothing but the best there. This is just a learning.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh,
Yeah, I just had one last question.
yes, please.
That like you covered this in the session also, but like I would like to know more that there are some silences in between. So how do you decide like you have to pitch in or you have to wait for the other to pitch in? Because like if I speak more, that would be also a bad cue that whenever silence is happening, this guy is only speaking. So could you tell like how to decide when to pitch in the silence or when to not?
Very intriguing question, Abhay. Putting me right at the spot. Thank you. If the silence is beyond 30 seconds in a group discussion, take it as a cue to pitch in. Uh, and do not fill the silence with your voice. You can always say that now that there's been silence for long, acknowledge. Very, very important is acknowledge it. There's been silence. We'd love to hear from everybody. If nobody else goes, can we take a round? Right? And then you start taking in a particular fashion, saying, Viday, what are your thoughts? Right? If there's again nothing being spoken for 15 seconds, there might be some problem on Viday's side. Is there somebody else who wants to add in before we go to say Bhatta, Soumya, and you're going in a proper fashion without being intimidating there. So that is a way to break silence, and you can take up the role of a moderator or a diplomat there, Abhay, which is needed.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Shruti, two very interesting questions there in the chat from you. Uh, Hi, Shruti. You're unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so I had these questions when the round was going on. So I, after you had set time up and Abhay had taken those 5 to 10 seconds to complete his statement, I mean, his points sounded valid, but is that right? Or should you not exceed the time up limit? That wanted to ask because if the conclusion has not been put up yet, do you have to like keep a timer? Say you have to be like it's 6:30 now, so I need 30 seconds to wrap up. So I'm going to wrap up here, or do you go about it some other way?
Very, very interesting question and relatable again from something. One thing, there's no right or wrong answer. The idea of a timekeeper there is to keep everybody on a watch. And if the conclusion has been missed, uh, first is again, do not shy away from acknowledging it. Yes, the time is up. We haven't yet concluded. I take 30 seconds, put a time to it as to how much you're going to take, and then structure it, saying that these are the three valid points that I would want to conclude with, and put it an end to it with a strong conclusion. Not having a conclusion is worse than taking 30 seconds to conclude. And that, again, why conclusion is important and what is the interviewers looking at is from the meeting's perspective. We all go to numerous meetings in a day. And it's just when the time is up, everybody's in a very big rush to get out of the meeting room. But if we take 30 seconds to say that these are the three takeaways that Shruti is going away with this action item, Abhay is going with B action item, and Mohib is going with C action item. So that way there is a proper conclusion to it, and people do not mind spending that additional 1 to 2 minutes for the conclusion. So addressing that, yes, we've run past time. Point number one, telling how much time you're going to take to conclude, and point number three, make it structured and put an end to the conclusion as soon as possible. That is important. Thank you for that interesting question there, Shruti.
Thank you for that clarity, ma'am. I had another question. So you
Yeah.
had mentioned in the previous round when the speakers were too gentle, and you had said real life GDs are way more aggressive and stuff. So
Yes.
what if other speakers are taking up too much time and you feel that you're not going to be able to like put across your point?
In a group discussion, people generally do not take only one opportunity to speak. If it is a repetitive behavior, that's a different way to manage. But if it's just one time, then there's a different way to manage. So there are going to be two types of uh, people that you'll see. So one is going rambling on and on. That is when you're like, considering the time, can we please understand what your highlights are and we can skip to the next speaker? So that's how you can go ahead. And if the person wants to speak again, saying that considering the paucity of time, we'd like to ensure that each person sticks to the point for just 1 minute and gives the chance to the others. So you can set the tone in the beginning, and if you see the structure being repeated again, saying that I noticed that you took a lot of time last time, can we ensure we stick to the point so that others have equal opportunity to speak? So acknowledge is one of the key things to go back to there, Shruti. Very interesting questions, and you'll have to keep reflecting, change your character or gears as is needed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was waiting for Shruti's answers, Shruti's questions to be answered, but I am having very simple question as how to avoid this small and yeah in our conversations.
Mohib,
It's involuntary.
it is involuntary. Uh, but one is, again, you know the problem, right? So small tips that help is write your points, at least 2 3 points. Talk slowly because our mind and tongue can always be in out of sync. If you talk slowly, your brain gets the time to think for the next word. That really helps than speaking fast. And instead of a filler, at times there can be a pause. Not necessarily have to fill it with a filler. That's three. Fourth, try practicing continuously in front of the mirror. Give yourself most random of the topics. Things like very impromptu topics, movies versus what do you say? Movies versus books that we had, beaches versus um, sand
Pebbles.
dunes. All those things you can give yourself and see how you also react. So observing yourself is equally important and going slow. So those are things that can help, and penning down preparation can never be undermined there. It will get
Thanks a
better.
lot.
It does get better, Mohit. But that happens again to the best of us.
I see. Thanks.
Alrighty. And that's pretty much all that we had for the day. Thank you so much for all your interesting questions, intriguing questions, and making this afternoon much more wonderful. I'm Kanika Mandiratta, and I would love to stay connected with most of you, whoever is interested. Thank you. Anything else, Abhay, if you're around? Let's see my friend here. Yes.
No,
Aditya.
that's it.
Oh, sorry. Aditya. My bad. I couldn't hear
Thank you
Aditya.
so much, Kanika, for such an insightful session. This was one of our longest sessions so far. I'm pretty sure everyone enjoyed it. There was a lot of interaction here.
Thanks.
One thing I would like to announce to whoever is here, our next session is going to be a bit postponed, so we will let you know on that later. But today we can wrap this up here. I would again like to thank Kanika for such an insightful session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Aditya.